Hi everyone, I'm Victoria and I'm a Tokyo-based creative working in vintage kimono textile jewellery as well as silver jewellery. Today I want to talk to you about how I'm building my sustainable jewellery business in a city as urban and concrete as Tokyo. We'll explore what it looks like to build a business that sustains you, your customers and the planet. I'll share insights into my ongoing 30 Days, 30 Dies project, along with my experiences of running a bricks and mortar studio space, where I'm standing right now, a tiny shop right behind me, as well as creating a community hub for other people who are sustainably minded. By the end of this session, you'll have actionable ideas for using creative pauses to spark innovation, reducing waste in your materials and processes, aligning products with your values, strengthening customer loyalty through storytelling, and engaging your community to amplify impact. I'm sure you're aware that Tokyo isn't the greenest of cities. However, even here I can observe seasonal changes and natural cycles. My creative pauses are about noticing the details of the world around me and using those ideas to guide my business decisions. Studio Biku, where I'm standing right now, embodies the idea of Mottainai. This is a Japanese concept of a feeling of regret at wasting something that still has life left in it. The space was empty for years before it found me, and now it's a place where materials can be reused and community can be valued. So here's what happens at the studio. I use the space primarily as my personal atelier for my jewellery brand, where I make silver jewellery as well as vintage kimono accessories. Through that door is a small kitchen that I use primarily for doing natural dye projects, but I also use it to make tea and coffee for the visitors who drop by. In this small space, I also host mending gatherings every month, as well as workshops for the community. Just outside the space is a little free library where you can come and drop a book and then take a book. I've also extended this to putting unwanted craft materials and other items and growing into a seed and a plant swap. The space is also used by other creatives to teach their own workshops. More recently, I've also started to use the space as a YouTube studio where I record videos all about my craft passions every week. And here's a challenge. To allow new ideas to grow, think about how you can add creative pauses each week into your business. I've tried things like journaling. I even did The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron for a while, where I did morning pages every day. I carry a sketchbook so that when I have ideas on the go, I can make notes or I can make a little sketch. I love to try out new skills. New activities can often give you new ideas. Visiting somewhere new and unexpected can also help you feel creatively refreshed. My absolute favourite is to go on a walk with my dog and just think about my day. The 30 Days, 30 Dies project started as an idea on my dog walk. I was picking up different items every morning, and I wondered if I could challenge myself to pick up one piece of material per day to make a die out of it. I collected jars from friends and the local community and saved every single jar in my own kitchen until I had 30 for the whole month of June. Then every morning on my dog walk, I collected at least one item to go in a jar, added some water and left it directly in the sun to try and make some colour. I also used food scraps from my kitchen as well as gifted materials from people in my local area, and even materials that I grew in my own tiny urban die garden. Day one, I put marigold in one of the jars that I'd grown in my die garden. In day two, I'd foraged for some dandelion in the local park. On day three, I found some pink azalea that had fallen off the bushes in the park. In day four, I picked a little bit of grass that was growing wild in my local park area. On day five, I put in some orange marigold petals from the die garden. On day 6, I put some red onion skins in the jar from my kitchen. And day 7, also kitchen scraps, avocado skins and pits. They were dried ones. On day 8, I put in some red marigold petals that I'd got from my die garden. On day 9, red geranium, which was also from the die garden. Day 10 were more kitchen scraps with yellow onion skins. On day 11, I put forage pomegranate skins that were dried. I picked up some pomegranates from the ground from a tree in my local area, right in the middle of Tokyo. I got to know the neighbour whose tree it was, and he's going to give me some this year too. Day 12 was lemon leaf, which was donated by one of my neighbours who was pruning her tree. Day 13 was viola. That was from a neighbour who was deadheading some flowers in a little pot outside her door. Day 14, I found some acorns at a local green area. And day 15, some hydrangea from the studio garden. On day 16, I went back to the die garden for some rosemary. And day 17, also the die garden for some olive leaves. On day 18, I looked in the kitchen for some dye materials and found black tea. And on day 19, I found a red hollyhock that had fallen off a plant in my neighbour's container garden. On day 20, we were back in the die garden. I picked some eucalyptus leaves a while back and dried them and put those in the pot today. On day 21, the studio kitchen gave me some coffee, some filter coffee. And day 22, I found some winter jasmine on the ground on my dog walk. Day 23, I was in the studio garden and noticed that there was some lichen on some bark lying on the ground, so I saw my opportunity. On day 24, I found a dried red camellia on the ground. On day 25, I found a pine cone on the ground near my neighbour's tree. Day 26, I found some tokusa, which is horsetail in the dye garden. On day 27, my kind neighbour donated some salvia. On day 28, some gardeners gave me a branch with pine needles. On day 29, I found a dead, huge paper plant leaf, which was very dry. On day 30, I went back to the studio garden and took some maple leaves from the window in my studio. After a couple of months of watching the dye grow in the jars, I decided it was time to add some sashiko thread, as well as some silk samples to see the colours that I can get. The amazing thing about this project is that I'll be making at least 30 different colours of thread and silk, but also if I modify those colours using iron water or vinegar or lemon juice, I can get even more colours. I'm hoping to get 90 in total. Here's another challenge for you. What 3 ways can you reduce your impact on the planet? Choose something small, but something that you can do consistently. Running a sustainable business in Tokyo is not so easy. The green infrastructure is minimal, but I'm finding a way to stick to my values, even in this concrete jungle. The challenge of not being able to find what I need compared to, say, back home in the UK, has helped me focus more on my values. I want to respect materials through my mission of Mottainai, as well as try to reduce my energy consumption, so using less water and less electricity. So I'm harnessing the power of the sun in this project. I have not had any heat source whatsoever. The only material that I've used is water. Everything else is foraged or gifted. Integrating community into the project is also really important to what I'm doing to spread the sustainability mission. I try as much as I can to create products that are meaningful, ethical, as well as authentic. For you as a business owner, just remember that sustainability doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent and intentional. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It can be something as small and consistent as turning lights off as you leave a room or unplugging something that's fully charged. This can mean switching to LED light bulbs, which will also save you money in the long run. But the big one for us creatives is using up the supplies that we already have in our stock cupboards. You can also make sure that you are recycling any packaging that comes into your space. And now I'm going to challenge you about your core values. What is your core value in your business? Take a look at your products. Do they align with this mission? Do they make sense to you? Do they make sense to your customers? Documenting the 30 Days, 30 Dyes project has been just as important as actually doing the project. I'm now up to creating episode 5 in the series, and I've been sharing the materials I've collected, my method of making the dye pots, adding the materials to the pots, and showing the colours that I'm getting so far. I think the transparency of sharing what I'm doing and not exactly knowing what the outcome's going to be has helped deepen the engagement with the people who are watching. As well as taking viewers on the journey with me, it also reinforces the sustainability message and shows that each piece is made thoughtfully and mindfully. For business owners, storytelling and transparency are very powerful tools. When your customers understand the care and thought that have gone behind your products, this can develop deeper loyalty and trust. Here's a storytelling challenge. What's your story? How did you get here in your business? And have you ever told your customers? Have you ever shared what matters to you and why you built this business? At Studio Biku, community initiatives include, as I said before, the mending sessions every month, also workshops for the community, as well as the Little Free Library and Craft Swap. So for business owners, this means thinking about what your core mission is and ways that you can involve community members in it. Looking ahead in my business, I've teamed up with a like-minded business owner to create a creative craft retreat here in Tokyo. We put together a really exciting program of slow crafting for like-minded people. We introduce our guests to Japanese artisans who teach them how to do natural dyeing with indigo, sashiko stitching, and other amazing Japanese textile techniques. This encompasses the Studio Biku ethos of Mottainai and slow crafting. To summarise, the 30 Days, 30 Dyes project has shown me that sustainability in business is about pausing creatively to think about new ways, about rethinking materials and processes to reduce waste, about aligning my work very closely with my core mission, about storytelling to build customer trust, and about fostering community so that we can have more impact together. Even in such a dense urban environment as Tokyo, it's still possible to build a business that nourishes creativity, that supports customers, and respects the planet. So here's my challenge to you. I encourage you to start your own experiment, even if it's a small one, and notice how intentional, sustainable practices can transform your business as well as your community. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you leave inspired to take even the tiniest step to sustainability in your business. If you're interested to see the progress of the project, episode 5, which is coming out in a couple of weeks, will show you the colours that the sashiko thread and the silk have changed to so far. I'm leaving them in for a little bit longer. And finally, episode 6 will show me making something with the final sashiko threads that I will display in my studio.